JD Limelight again, and I'm here. I'm taking the temperature of this here water that I just had in a tea kettle, because today we're making focaccia bread. And the yeast, you know, likes to rock at about 110 degrees, 90 to 110 degrees. You want your water. It's I'm just going right into it. It's a cup and a third of water and 2 teaspoons of honey right here in this thing. And you measure the temperature, and I'm like, yeah, it's like right there. Just, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my yeast. I'm gonna pour it on in. There it is. It's lovely. It's beautiful. If your water is hotter than 110 degrees, it'll kill the yeast and it won't work. Now we're gonna take this. We're gonna let this sit for 10 minutes. It's yeast and hot water and honey. It's gonna sit for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna add it to this beautiful bowl of flour, and we're gonna make a lovely focaccia bread. Welcome to this this installment of Crust Punk. See you in a minute. We're 10. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's JD Limelight, back with another episode of Crust Punk. Today, looks like we're making focaccia bread, and it looks something like this here. Can you see that okay? We got, for the focaccia bread, we want 1 1/3 cup of 110 degree H2O, that's water. We want 2 teaspoons of honey, and we want 1 package of yeast. We put that little liquidy stuff together for about 10 minutes, let it get all custardy. We'll show you that. Then we got 3.5 cups of flour right here. 3.5 cups of flour. We're gonna add the custardy yeasty mix to the flour. We're gonna put some olive oil in with that as we mix it up. I'll show you some kneading techniques right here. We mix for 5 minutes, knead it, fold it, shape it, do the thing. We'll make it into a ball. We'll put it in an oil bowl. We'll cover it up. This is a great bread to make for people that, if it's a first loaf for you, this is a great first time loaf because it's simple. Technique is simple. I'll show you some stuff. It's just a couple of steps. It's 1 rise, and then like a little mini rise, and then you bake it, and then you got fresh focaccia bread. We're gonna put some rosemary on it later, and you could flavor it any way you want. It's a great versatile bread. Anyway, we're gonna bake the proverbial shit out of some focaccia bread today.
Say loaf again.
Loaf.
Loaf.
Loaf. Hey, so it's been about 10 minutes, and the yeast is ready. The liquidy yeasty thing with the honey in it, and you can use sugar if you want, but you know, honey, whatever. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I have definitely stepped up my apron game for this week's bake off. Here we go. So what I did with the yeast mixture was I actually wrapped it up in a little cozy, and I put it up somewhere warm, like on top of the fridge is usually a good place. And it's a cold day outside, and you want to take that into account when you're baking bread. The outside weather will affect how the length of rises and how your yeast behaves and all kinds of things like that. The warmer the day, the quicker the rise, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, science. Baking is science. Who knew? So now we have our yeasty stuff, and let's get a shot of that because this is what you want your yeast to do. It's like it's this like kind of custardy top, and if you smell it, it smells nice and sweet like yeast. And I'm just spinning around here looking for a little thing. I'm just gonna give it a little stir. Little stir. Lots of technique in baking. You do things, you have to do things. So now what's gonna happen? This is just on the fly, live improv kneading technique. Here's some flour, here's some yeasted water, here's some oil. Focaccia is an oil bread. Don't be afraid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the recommended 1/4 cup of olive oil that they recommend you put in focaccia bread. And I'm gonna start with that. I'll start with that right there. And then, you know, it's like the way I make drinks at home. Just a little extra. Then give that a little stir. And we're gonna mix this, and here's where it gets fun. We're just gonna mix that all in there. I'm gonna reach for open a little flour, just in case I need a little extra for my sticky hands. And we're gonna get in here and we're gonna do this. And we're just gonna get in there with our hands, because man, it's fun.
Get your hands in.
Get your hands in there. And can you see this okay? Here, let's get in close on this. Yeah, let's get in close on this, because what's important here is what's going on in the bowl is you can see that you know, it's a nice recipe in that like the ratios are good, that when you just start getting it blended and mixed together, it's really not even sticking on my hands all that much. I didn't even, sometimes you have stickier breads that get all over the place and whatever. And the thing is now, you just want to work this. You just want to kind of fold it in on itself.
Doing a sexy arm muscle shot.
Yeah, we're having some sexy arm muscle. You know, it's like everybody needs a little something.
Yeah.
So what you do is, as you can see, I'm kind of like folding it over on itself as I go around the sides of the bowl. And I think the idea is here that you're building up glutens in the bread as it stretches against the side of the bowl. So that's kind of a thing. It's kind of like if you have a bread mixer at home or a standing mixer, you know, they kind of do that thing where it goes around like that and like that, you know, and you get that going. And basically, you want to do this for as much time as it takes to start to get a nice kind of like, you'll feel it gets. You can see it start to get its glutens together. You can see it starting to like. It's flaky. It's crusty. I'm not really paying attention to so much time because this is a bread that I've made a bunch of times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think this is gonna be a good one. Anyway, I'm gonna do this for a few more minutes. Woo! Yeah. And you know, I was gonna work out today, but I think I'll make focaccia instead. Which is also, if you think about the calories that you're gonna be imbibing from this bread, it's good that, you know, at least if you're the one that made it, you're like, well, at least I got a little something out of that.
The rest of us just lift some weights.
Yeah, the rest of you can work out for real while I just do this. Building gluten, building gluten, building gluten, you know, making nice texture happen, folding it on itself, pressing it back down, going around the side of the bowl, all like that. Woo!
You're gonna push it right off the table.
I know, right?
So enthusiastic.
I am. This is punk rock baking, man. This is how it's done. And if you can see, if you've been paying attention and not fast forwarding through this part, which, you know, you can fast forward through this part. When I do this part here, it is breaking up a lot less. It's like, this is gonna be good bread. So now I'm just gonna mash it and knead it and do things to it. You know, I don't know. You'll figure it out.
This is where you can like take out all your frustrations.
This is like, yeah.
Like pretend this is the president's face.
Yeah. No, our bread is way more beautiful than that.
That is true.
But you know, anyway.
Your bread is beautiful.
You know, if you people stay home and bake, you'll be my heroes. You don't even have to bake, you just have to stay home. That's my public service announcement from Crust Punk. Stay the F home, people. It's good. It's good news. It's good news. Anyway, I'm going to say this is done because we're on TV, and who wants to watch me do this for 20 minutes? But usually you would do this for like 5 to 7 minutes. You would kind of like, you know, mash this stuff around. I'm going to say this is good and get on with the next step, which is, yeah, I like that. We're going to roll it into a little ball. We're making it into a little.
It's been about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for staying with us here on Crust Punk, getting it done for real. And we're going to have this little magic ball of dough here. And then the next step, and lucky me, I didn't have to add any extra flour to it because that gets messy and I wouldn't want to get my new apron all messy. So, then we're going to oil the ball, liberally oil the ball, and then you put your little ball of joy in there, give it a little thing, spin it around, get it oiled all up everywhere, get the bowl oiled, get your thing done like that. Then we cover it up like that. Watch this. We cover it up like that. and find a safe, warm, dry place for it to be. I'm gonna go back on top of the fridge. You let this rise for an hour or up to 3 hours. The longer you let it rise, the tastier and fluffier it'll be, but at least an hour, and we'll be back and I'll show you more. Done. Hey, welcome back to Crust Punk. I'm JD Limelight, and yeah, we're gonna finish up our focaccia bread. It's cold, it's wet, it's raining out, so we actually gave our bread a 3-hour rise. It's been 3 real hours since we did this before. So I'm gonna go up on the ladder. I'm gonna get the dough out of our little proofing station up there, and we're gonna do some stuff with it. So I'll be right back. Here we go. Getting the thing. Remember, we kept it covered. We kept it nice and covered. We didn't even think about it the whole time it was up there on top of the fridge. And there it is. I don't know if you remember what it looked like before, but if you come in and take a look, it's a lot bigger and puffier than it was, right? Is that true? That's all true, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take it. I took a sheet pan. I put some cornmeal down on it. I'm not using oil underneath. And we do have a little baking sheet thing. And I'm gonna take this here bread thing out of here, and I'm gonna put it right down on this pan. I'm gonna put it top side down on my oil side like that, and then I'm just gonna work it around. This is how focaccia bread happens right here. You just kind of like fill up this sheet pan with it. This is the perfect size for this sheet pan, whatever size sheet pan this is. I don't know. Work it. Here we go. We're just making those little pockets, those beautiful little pockets, and I'm liking the thickness of the bread itself. And what's going to happen after I do this a little bit, and I think I like that a lot. I think that's basically a very nice and rustic. It's a rustic piece of focaccia looking loaf there.
Looks like a giant crumpet.
Right? It's like a giant crumpet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw a little, we got it all like this. We're going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees in just a second here as soon as I'm doing this. We're going to let this rise for about 20 minutes before we put it in the oven. And that gives the oven time to get nice and hot and all that other stuff. Now here we have some rosemary here. And around here in this part of the world, where we get our rosemary from is from Rosemary Cat. There's a cat that lives next door that kind of lives in this rosemary bush, and every once in a while when we need the rosemary, we go in and we ask the cat if we could have a little rosemary. So we got this from Rosemary Cat. Thank you very much, Rosemary Cat. Rosemary Cat wasn't around today because it's cold and wet. Cats don't like that so much. But here's our rosemary treatment on the bread, and then I'm going to take a little salt, because salt is everybody likes it. It's good. A couple of pinches of salt on top. And then, just in case you were wondering, yeah, we're going to put more olive oil on it because focaccia loves olive oil. So we're just going to, don't even be shy about it. Just get it everywhere. Just make it glisten. There it is, right? That's really good.
It'll keep your coat shiny.
It's good, and it makes the bread better. It's like, don't be afraid. People are like, well, that's so much oil. It's not. Don't worry about it. That's what you want it to look like roughly. We're going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. I'm going to preheat the oven, and right before we put it back in the oven, we're going to give it another little quick poke down, and make so we get those nice fluffy pockets in there, and then put it in the hot oven. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. Hey, so it's been 20-25 minutes, cold, wet day. We're being patient with our bread, because baking likes patience. I said that about what did we do the other day? Scones, right? I'm so sconed I couldn't even remember.
Sconer.
Yeah, I know, total sconer. Anyway, here's our focaccia bread. Our forget about it focaccia bread right here. And it's gonna go in the oven. It's been, did its little 20-25 minute second rise. Not 20-second rise, 20-minute second rise. The second rise. Anyway, it's gonna go in the oven. The oven's at 400 degrees. The bread looks like that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm just gonna give it a couple of quick little stabs, just because I couldn't resist. You could or could not. Anyway, it's gonna go in now with all the stuff, and should bake for about 20 check it at 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes again, depending on the weather and your oven and all kinds of things. Anyway, here it goes. We'll see you in a little bit. Crust Punk. here we are. 23 minutes later, 23 minutes of baking yumminess. And here's that focaccia out of the oven, looking nice and golden brown and beautiful, beautiful. We're gonna slide it off of here. We're gonna put it on this little cooling rack. Should just come right off. Boom, smooth. And there it is, focaccia bread. We're gonna let it cool off a little bit, and then we're gonna eat it. Yeah, we're gonna let it cool off a little bit. We're gonna put that back in the oven. Turn the oven off, and when you make this at home, give it about 5 minutes or so to cool before you rip into it. I know it's tough. And then eat some while it's fresh. You can also cut it into pieces. You can bag it up and freeze it. You can do whatever you want, but mostly you're just gonna eat it. And there it is, your focaccia bread. It's nice,
glorious.
it's fluffy. This house smells great, and it warms up your place on a rainy day. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to our second episode of Crust Punk. Forget about it, focaccia bread, right here. Make it at home. Let me know if you enjoy it. Let us know if you enjoy it. We're gonna enjoy it later. See you next time, kids.